Do you enjoy a cigarette before bedtime? While those few puffs can give you some happy tingles, it definitely is doing more than just that, especially where your sleep is concerned. On today's episode, we will look at the role nicotine can play in our nighttime routine. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me. I have a caveat from last week's episode on bruxism. I was giving it a re-listen and realized that I misspoke when I talked about the incidence of people in the studies that I was looking at that had episodes of bruxism. I said between 14 and 13%, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The actual number is 3 to 14% of the people associated, or people in the studies had issues with bruxism, and mostly it was more common in women as well. So I wanted to make sure and clear that up with you before we moved on to today's episode. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that is fairly pervasive in many of our societies, and that's the use of nicotine. A lot of people smoke, a lot of people use smokeless tobacco products, and nicotine can definitely have an effect on our ability to get a good night's sleep. So I wanted to just have a look at what it is and what it does, and some things that we can do to sort of forestall some of the effects that it can have on our ability to get a good night's sleep. Now, nicotine itself is a naturally occurring chemical compound that's found in the tobacco plant. And the tobacco plant is a part of the nightshade family of plants. And interestingly, and I didn't know this until I was doing the research, nicotine is also found in other members of the nightshade family. There are a lot of food products, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, green peppers, cayenne peppers, that also contain levels of nicotine, but to a much lower degree than in tobacco products. Interestingly, tobacco has been cultivated for thousands of years. Native Americans first started to cultivate the tobacco plant around 6000 BC. So it has been around for a very long time. It originally started in the Americas and then it made its way to Europe. And one of the reasons it has been around so long is because nicotine is a stimulant. It has a lot of stimulating abilities that make us feel certain things when we smoke or when we ingest the nicotine. What it does, it binds with certain chemical receptors and neurotransmitters. These are the chemical messengers inside the brain. Things like dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. And a lot of these neurotransmitters are the things that are responsible for regulating pleasure and mood and emotion and even some pain relief. So you can imagine a product that is going to boost your mood, cause you to feel increased pleasure, and help reduce some of your pain might be interesting to stick around for a while, and it has. Been used in religious ceremonies as well as medicinal purposes for many years. And it wasn't until more research into the science behind what it was doing started to occur that we began to understand the role that it really does play within our bodies. Now, not only does it affect pleasure and mood, but it can also affect certain physiological responses in the body. So since it is a stimulant, as we ingest it, it will cause our heart rate to increase. It can cause arteries to constrict and blood pressure to increase as well. Now, you can imagine if you are winding down at night, getting ready to lay down and have a good night's sleep, and you ingest this substance, it's going to make you feel good. It's going to give you that little happy tingles that I mentioned in the intro, but it's also going to do all of the other stuff that the chemical does. So it will affect your ability to get a good night's sleep. And it does that by increasing the amount of time that it takes you to get to sleep. It also increases the amount of time you spend awake during the night after you've tried to go to sleep. So you can imagine that's going to reduce your overall amount of sleep time during the night. It's also going to affect your ability to wake up at a regular time, and even to feel refreshed like you've had a good restorative night's sleep during the day. So nicotine is strongly associated with disruptions in the sleep cycles that we go through every night. This is something that you can research a little bit more through some of the archives. We've talked about some of this stuff as well. So give that a listen. And one other area that it actually affects our ability to stay asleep is, since it is such a highly addictive compound, when it's consumed, it gets to our brain within seconds. It's a very fast-acting compound. It also dissipates fairly quickly as our body consumes the chemical. So within a couple of hours, since it is so addictive, your body is craving more. Smokers, especially longtime smokers, when they wake up and have those awakenings during the night, they have more of a craving for a cigarette, which will in turn be stimulating if they smoke it and affect their sleep even more. Now, not only does nicotine and smoking in particular disrupt your nighttime sleep, it can also lead to increased chances of sleep apnea and snoring. Smokers have a 3 times increased risk of developing sleep apnea. And interestingly, the reason for this is because when we ingest, especially through smoking, we're irritating the upper airway. And sleep apnea in and of itself is a closure of the upper airway. So if that airway is irritated, it's going to cause swelling of the tissue. When that tissue swells, means that the airway is even smaller than it was before. So when the muscle tone relaxes, the airway doesn't have as far to go to close off. So that's going to lead to increased chance of sleep apnea, increased chance of snoring. Also, studies have shown that patients who ingest nicotine, especially smokers, will have an increased duration of hypoxia during sleep. Hypoxia is a reduced amount of oxygen in your blood. So it's affecting your body's ability to keep oxygen in your blood as well. Now, I'm not here to say that you need to quit smoking, because you do what you need to do. But I want you to be aware that if you do have trouble sleeping, if you do have issues with insomnia, if you have some trouble with sleep apnea and you are a smoker, it could be some information that you need to have to understand what's going on. Now, fortunately, it is possible to quit smoking and to get nicotine out of your life. Some of the things that patients who are attempting to quit smoking need to keep in mind is that while you're going through those withdrawal symptoms of the nicotine withdrawal, you will have an increased chance of insomnia and sleep disturbances. That's simply going to happen. There are things that you can do to try to help forestall some of that. Studies have shown that exercise, even short workouts, have been shown to improve your sleep quality, especially when you're trying to alleviate some of those nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Patients who are quitting smoking may also want to start using some melatonin at night as a sleep aid to help them get a little more sleep so that they can reduce some of the symptoms associated with the withdrawal. There are a lot of physiological and psychological things that can happen when you are quitting smoking. So it's always going to be a good idea to touch base with your medical practitioner, your nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, your doctor, just to see if they have some things that can help you. There you can get some more information online at quit.com, quit.com. They have a lot of resources available. Your doctor can also prescribe some medication that would be a short-term aid to help you quit smoking. I hope this information has been good for you. A lot of it was new to me, especially when I was researching some of the nightshade information about the plant itself. I hadn't realized that tomatoes and tobacco were related. So I hope this information has been fun for you. As always, do remember to try to make sleep a priority. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.